Okay, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to find the volume of one other prism, and that is a trapezoidal prism. So remember, the formula we use for prisms other than rectangular prisms, this is for other prisms, is V equals B times W. Remember, capital B is the area of the base and W is the width of the prism. Okay, so remember what we did yesterday with the triangular prisms? This is very similar, except instead of a triangular prism, we'll be working with trapezoidal prisms. So let's take a look at this example. If you have your notes, you can turn to this example. So this is a trapezoidal prism. It can be a little bit tricky, like that second triangular prism example I showed you yesterday, because the bases are not what it's sitting on. Since this is a trapezoid, and this in the back here is also a trapezoid, that makes this a trapezoidal prism. So this is a trapezoidal prism. It's not sitting on its bases, it's sitting on its side, one of the faces on the bottom there. But that doesn't mean that the base changes. The bases are still these trapezoids. So when we go to use our formula, we're going to remember that the bases are trapezoids. So we use the same formula. We start with the same formula that we did yesterday with the triangular prisms. However, instead of putting the triangle area formula in for capital B, we are going to put in the trapezoid formula for capital B. So we take out the capital B. This whole formula replaces the capital B. 1/2 times height times base 1 plus base 2. That is just the capital B, and then remember we still need to multiply the whole prism by the width of the prism. That's still part of the formula. This formula does not replace the W, so we still need to include the W at the end, multiply by the width. So if I use this formula, the height of the trapezoid is 5. Remember, height has to be perpendicular, it has to create a right angle. So that's 5 is the height. And then base 1 plus base 2, those are the two parallel sides, 5 and 8. Okay, it doesn't matter if you do 5 plus 8 or 8 plus 5, you're going to get the same thing either way. So that's our area. That would give us the area of this trapezoid right here, if I solve that. And then we're going to need to multiply the whole thing, kind of fill it up from front to back times the width, which is 6.3. So we're going to put times 6.3 there at the end. Now you have to be very careful when you're calculating this. If you're doing this on a calculator, you can put the parentheses in pretty easily, but if you're doing this on your phone or something that does not easily have parentheses, I would suggest actually changing this to 13 first, so that what you have left, instead of you have some addition and multiplication combined, you have only multiplication left, so you won't have any trouble with typing this in and getting the wrong answer. So 0.5 times 5 times 13 times 6.3, if you type this in correctly, you get 204.75, and again, it's volume, so it's centimeters cubed or cubic centimeters. I really suggest you actually trying to type this in to make sure you get that answer, because it's possible some of you are, when you're doing trapezoids or other shapes, it's possible you're typing in, you have the right numbers, but you're typing it in wrong. So don't just take my word for it that that's the answer. I want you to actually try to see if you're going to get that answer. Okay, so we are going to look at one other example. Just like yesterday, we did this one yesterday. I'm going to cross that out. We're going to look at this trapezoidal prism over here. This is not on your notes, but you can follow along. we're going to use the same formula, V equals BW. Since this is a trapezoidal prism, we're going to replace B with the area formula for a trapezoid. And then we have to remember to multiply by the width at the end. Now this trapezoidal prism is sitting on its base. So it's a little bit easier to identify this as a trapezoidal prism since it's sitting on its base, which is the trapezoid down there. And then this trapezoid up top here is exactly the same. So this one might be a little bit easier to identify for the formula what goes where. So 1/2 times the height. Now remember, this is the height of just the trapezoid. That's 2. So 1/2 times 2. Base 1 plus base 2. So base 1, one of these is 4. You can see down here. The other one doesn't show it down here, but if you look up here at the top base, that's 10. So this is also 10. So one of our bases is 4, the other one is 10. You can add them together in your head and write down a 14, that's up to you. But then we have to, once we find the area of our trapezoid, we're going to multiply the whole thing times the width of the prism, which is 12. Okay, remember the width is how much space is between the two bases. That's kind of what fills it up. If you think about putting your cup under the faucet, it fills up the bottom first and then it starts filling it up from bottom to top. So that's the width here is 12. Okay, so again, we want to make sure that we're actually typing this in into your calculator correctly. So I would just add 4 plus 10 first to make it a little bit easier. 1/2 times 2 times 14 times 12. If you type that in, you should get 168, and this is feet cubed or cubic feet. Like I said in the last example, please type this in and actually see if you get that answer. I want to make sure that not only are you putting the right numbers in the formula, but that you know how to type it into whatever calculator you're using. Okay, so that is how you find the volume of a trapezoidal prism. If you have questions, email me or please review the video again. Sometimes watching it through the first time can be a little confusing, but you have the freedom to watch it as many times as you need to, so please make sure you do that.